Hi, my name is Estelle Alexander, and I'm doing a process speech. My process speech is how to cook chocolate chip cookies, and I'm doing mine in gluten-free. So, first things first. I took a poll for Park Hill, just like any random student from our school, and 21 responded. 18 out of 21 said that they were interested in not only learning how to make chocolate chip cookies, but they're also like chocolate chip cookies. That's 85% of people that took the poll. So, the first step to making chocolate chip cookies is finding a recipe. I'm just using this quick recipe right here. I'm only adjusting it a little bit in this video, but this is the one that I pulled from home. And I'll be passing that out at the end of this video, along with some cookies for your guys' visual aid. So, the first things first, you gotta get all your ingredients and all of your materials out and ready. Second part to that is you got to prep your oven. So I've already prepped my oven, but I'll show you quickly how to do that. So you're gonna prep the oven to 375 and have it ready. So how I do on mine and many others is you'll just click bake, you'll hold down and you can change the temp right here. So it'll usually be at 350, so you'll just crank up the temp all the way up and then you're gonna click start or bake again. It kind of just depends on how yours is. Mine's already set, so we're good. Okay. So after you found your recipe, you've preset your oven and have all your materials out, which I already have mine all set out, and you have a clean area, you're ready to begin actually making the chocolate chip cookies. So the first part to making chocolate chip cookies is getting your bowl out and putting the wet ingredients into the bowl. So the first thing you'll need is 2 sticks of butter. I've already been cutting mine up because they aren't quite at room temperature. It needs to be softened / at room temperature. So I'm going to cut my butter up real quick, just so that I can get to a softer temp. This is not soft enough. And so if you have butter that isn't quite soft enough, you can just cut it into pieces and throw it in the microwave real quick for about 15 to 30 seconds. So if you don't have real sticks of butter, you can use an alternative of like the tub butter that's already like soft. So like that's Country Crock, I believe. Yeah. So I'm just gonna put my butter in here, and I'm just gonna set it for 30 seconds. And it should just it should have a little bit of melt, but it shouldn't melt too much. So we're waiting for that. I'm just gonna add the sugars to the bowl, and so you'll have brown sugar and you're gonna have white sugar. So for this recipe, I use 3/4 of brown sugar. I'm just gonna dump that in. And I used half a cup of white sugar. Okay, awesome. While you're waiting for the butter, which is not going to take much longer, I'm just going to get it out right now. It should look something like this. It doesn't have to be necessarily full melted. It typically will still look about like this, but it's okay if it's melted. It just can't be boiling. Okay, after you've have your sugar in the bowl, you'll also add the butter. You'll combine these two. I'm going to use my utensil, my scraper, to scrape the rest of the butter out into the bowl. Now I'm going to combine with a fork, or you can use a KitchenAid or a hand mixer. So now you'll combine these 3 to make this. Trust the process. So now that you've kind of gotten, it's supposed to be creamy, but this is okay, it'll work, because you'll just leave it in the fridge later. But, so once you've gotten kind of this consistency, or like a more creamier consistency, then you will begin to add your wet ingredients. But before you do that, you're gonna add your vanilla. So vanilla, I usually just do a dash, but you're supposed to do 1 teaspoon. I'm just gonna do a dash, because I'm pretty good at measuring. Now you're gonna mix that in. Okay, it's pretty well combined. After that, you're gonna add your flour. I used one cup and 1/4 of flour. And I'm just gonna combine this slowly. It's important to add it slowly so that you don't add too much flour and make the cookies gross. So my best tip is to just scrape as you're going into mix. Mix, mix, scrape, scrape. What comes really in handy is to use one of these silicone like scrapers. Okay. So then slowly add. And I like to do it in thirds. Add 1/3 of the flour at a time. You see it starting to come together. Plus, if for some reason it gets like, because you melted your butter too much, you can always add a little bit more flour here and there, but it does call for 1 cup and 1/4 of flour. This kind of depends on how you like your cookies. I'm gonna add the rest. And right before you do that, you're gonna add just a pinch of baking soda. You're supposed to use 1 tablespoon, and this is, or 1 teaspoon. Perfect. And right with that, you're gonna add it, and you're just gonna quickly mix. And it's gonna become a dough. Once you've kind of gotten to this point, then you're gonna add your chocolate chips. You'll add however much you want, but you'll need at least a cup of chocolate chips. And you'll mix. Your dough is gonna look something like this once it's fully together. And then you're gonna add it to a pan. So I'm using a cookie sheet pan, and I'm just gonna put the dough on here. You can use your hands or you can use a spoon. I'm gonna put my dough over here and apply it, and then we're gonna throw it into the oven. So I have clean hands, but if you don't have clean hands, wash your hands because that's nasty. So I'm just gonna make little balls and put them on the sheet. And I'm gonna do 6. And when you put the dough into the fridge after you've mixed it all together, you'll need to let it sit for at least 30 minutes in the fridge to let it chill. So once you've gotten to this point, then you're just gonna pop it in the oven. Just real quick. You don't need to grease it or anything. The cookies already have butter in them. So now you're gonna set a timer, and you're gonna need 10 minutes. You'll come back in 10 minutes, and then your cookies will be ready. So I already have kind of cookies made to show you what they'll look like. So these are what the cookies look like once they're done. And after that, you pretty much just sit there and you'll enjoy them. So they're really good. Yum! I hope you make chocolate chip cookies.